Hello everyone and welcome to module number 2, lesson 1. We're going to be covering strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, aka SWOT. This video is going to be a preview into the introduction to the Business of SEO course, just so that you can have an idea as to what to expect when the course is officially released. So without further ado, let's just get started with it. We're going to first talk about what is SWOT. So as we just mentioned, it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And before we move further, it's essentially just a way to gauge your understanding of the business landscape that you're entering. So we're going to be obviously having a focus in SEO and website design, but this can apply to any other venture, whether it's software engineering or something as different as if you're going to start a contracting business or whatever. It's an important business acronym to understand. And so the first thing you're going to want to account for is what you're good at. So what are your strengths? It doesn't have to necessarily be skill set or personality strengths. It can also be something like assets. So it could be your cash flow or what you have on hand. It can be long-term assets like investments that you can liquidate or whatever. It's really just what makes you stand out in terms of strengths compared to your competitors. Some people are going to be better at one thing, whereas other people are going to be better at the other when it comes to business. And for instance, my favorite example is whether you are a better manager or a better developer. Now, a manager oversees, for instance, projects. They oversee assignments, due dates, the books, etc. Developers, will oversee typically the marketing, the advertising, the customer relations, the sales, and stuff like that. So I'd like to say I'm a bit of a hybrid in both. I'll do a lot of my management, obviously, with the fact that my business is small. I'll be doing a lot of the bookkeeping. I'll be doing a lot of the maintenance of websites and making sure that things get done. At the same time, I'm also going to be implementing techniques that I've learned from sales and business development. For instance, running my own marketing promotions like this one here with the free preview, as well as maintaining customer relations and whatnot. But I know that I'm not always the best when it comes to in-person calls, so sometimes I'll hire other people. So that leads me to my next point, which is everyone has weaknesses and you shouldn't be afraid to admit them or at least write them down. You don't have to go around telling people your weaknesses and say, hey guys, I suck at this, but you should at least be able to be honest with yourself and say, hey, maybe I'm not so great at accounting, so I'm going to look for an accountant. Now, opportunities, we're going to simply say that opportunities are everywhere, and especially in places you've never looked. Now, a good analogy for this is if you are stressed or if you have some sort of clutter in your mind, it's going to be very foggy and it's going to be hard to see. It's like if you're driving down a foggy road, you have to drive really slow and you get nervous if you're going to hit something and whatnot. You don't really have the best vision as to where you're going. Now, if your mind is a lot clearer and if your mind is a lot more open to the opportunities that lay in front of you, your vision is going to be a lot more crisp and you're going to be able to see exactly where you're trying to go, and this is going to help you identify new opportunities in your business field, and we're going to get some examples of those shortly in the coming slides. So an example of SWOT, so let's consider this scenario. John decides to enter the website design business at age 30 after working at a software development firm for 5 years. He has experience as an engineer and accounts manager. He's outgoing, but sometimes jumps the gun too quickly. This makes him a bit of a loose cannon. He notices several software startups in his home state of North Carolina who have websites, but they aren't getting enough attention from high-end investors. There are other design firms, but these website design firms specialize in local website design for mechanics, plumbers, and law firms. They're not really specialized in software startups. So one of his strengths may include his experience as an accounts manager. As we mentioned earlier, he's been doing this for about 5 years. So he has some experience calling people, managing relations. And as we also mentioned, he's pretty extroverted and he's very outgoing. One of his weaknesses may be that he's a bit too jumpy. He doesn't maybe think things through. He's much better at communicating and getting people to like him, but has a little bit of trouble with staying organized and consistent with his delivery of results. So an opportunity for John currently is the fact that there are new startup firms that specialize in software in his area. So he already knows how to work with people in the software development space, given his prior experience. One of the threats is the fact that there are other website design firms, but this can also be an opportunity because they only specialize in local website design, and he may, go up to the software guys and say, hey, these website designers in the area really only specialize in local website design. They're not specialized for your needs. Meanwhile, here I am, and I've worked with software developers just like yourself, and I know how to talk to you guys, and this might make a better pitch to these companies than if someone from the local website design firm comes into their office. So one thing I would like to see everyone do, or maybe I can't see you guys do it, but one thing I would hope that you would do is journal with these prompts. What are 5 skills or strengths that I have in which make me stand out in my field? Now, I'm going to give examples of my own journal prompts shortly after this slide. What are 5 weaknesses that will hold me back? Who are potential buyers of my product or service, and where do they hang out? So another word we use for potential buyers is prospects. So where are my prospects? What do they look like? What do they? How old are they? Just whatever you can think of. Who are the big names in my industry that my customers go to for solutions? Customers or prospects should have been written down, but anyone that's going to be buying from you, where do they go to by default if they don't know about you? And the 5th one is, if I cannot overcome my weaknesses, where should I go to find people who can cover my blind spots? So let me give you an example as to what I've written down. So I wrote down for number 1, when it comes to my strengths, I said that I'm articulate and I'm a good communicator. I have a background in website development and basic computer programming. I have about 4 years of experience in digital marketing. I keep a good record of my finances, and I have about 2 years of managerial experience. That's from hiring and firing VAs, managing multiple people on projects, etc. Now, for weaknesses, I wrote down that I procrastinate sales and follow-up calls. As I mentioned earlier in this lecture, I have always struggled with talking to people when it comes to money, so that kind of sets me back a little bit. I also have trouble staying focused on one specific task. This is partially due to the fact that I have ADHD and I just don't do well on one task, especially amplified by the fact that we live in a digital world and things pop up left and right. The 3rd is I have technically no degree, although I am pursuing a business administration degree. But as it stands, I have no degree to my name and I have no real formal training in SEO. The 4th is I am about 20 to 21 years old. I'm about to be 21, but still 20. In any case, I'm still very young. So to some people, this might be a strength because if you're working with a lot of younger entrepreneurs, they might see someone who's a lot younger as a person that is more up to date with current practices. Now, for the 5th part, I wrote, I am not up to date with SEO as of 2022, so that kind of counters that idea that a younger person like myself would be more up to date with SEO. I actually am not, since I have kind of stepped down from that position of doing SEO. The 3rd is my potential buyers or prospects are owners or vice presidents, maybe some directors of established small businesses with approximately 3 to 10 employees who want a reliable website manager with consistent marketing work. An example of this is SEO. They attend networking events and trade seminars. So, for instance, people in construction or people that are in people like plumbers or electricians or HVAC guys, there are conventions, seminars, trainings, etc., association meetings where these guys hang out who I would probably be interested in talking with, so I might want to figure out a way if I can attend these types of networking events. Another group of people that I like to work with are law firms and accountants. They're just people I've worked with in the past and professional services who I've had good experiences with. Some of the big names that I know of are Develomark. In fact, actually, their owner, Ruan Marino, is a guy who I learned most of my initial SEO from. But he's sort of a big name in the industry and someone that my type of customers might go to. Another example, a little bit more local, is one that I found called Boston Website Designers. Then there's one in New York City called Thrive Agency. And for the fifth section, I said that I should look to Upwork or onlinejobs.ph to find people skilled in project management, customer or accounts management, and SEO. So I hope this video covers a good basis as to strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And in the next lecture, or in the lecture that will be in the paid course, we'll talk about ethics and morality. So with that being said, I wish everyone a great rest of the day.